So welcome to a command block tutorial. We are here at the lobby of Forgotten Colonies and we're going to show you all you need in the next series. Let's go to the engine. Now while we're in Forgotten Colonies, this one is actually made with command blocks entirely. As you can see, you'll see a lot of command blocks here and here, and you see all the three types. If you know anything about command blocks, you probably know what everyone does. If you don't, the blue one is a repeating command block and it will just keep executing the same thing. And usually we use it actually to test a certain value on the scoreboard to be something. As long as it fails, it doesn't run the rest. As soon as it doesn't fail, it will start executing all the command blocks coming after it. The green one is a chain command block, and actually it will run pretty much whatever is triggering it. So basically after blue or an orange one, you often see a string of green ones. And last one, of course, is the orange one, which is pretty much well known by everyone. Basically what it does is it accepts a redstone signal. It can actually submit the redstone signal to another orange one, or it can just use the chain command blocks to pass commands. In this tutorial we'll actually talk about several things. We're going to talk about showing a subtitle. So let's take this one. And a little trick, if you press the middle mouse button, you can just take the block in creative. And if you do that, it will be empty. However, if you hold Control and click, you'll actually take the command block and even keep the value inside. And that also works with signs, etc. So that's pretty ideal. The second one is going to be title. Run title title. That's the large one. Then actually the fourth one, because it's here, the third one will come afterwards, is going to be the Tellraw, which is actually a chat command. And it's pretty neat. And the last one is called Actionbar. And you'll see already it uses a little bit different commands. We're definitely going to need this one as well. Let's go back to the engine. And we'll have a little place set up here. If you want to know what this is, it's just a selector for world edit. Okay, let's place this one here. Let's first set up the command. How I always used to type it is just I'll type this one first. And you always start with text. And then you'll just say this is a subtitle. Now this is going to be a bit harder and a bit technical, so I hope you have brought your brains today. Now this might be a bit complicated already, but once you've done it a few times, you know exactly what to do. If I would use these brackets, if you ever worked with JSONs before, you probably know the format already. Then I can add an extra field. So if I would do this, for example. So now I split up, this is A and a subtitle, and I want to do a space here. Okay, let's save this one. If I would press the button, nothing happens, and it's simple because a subtitle can never run on its own. A subtitle always needs the company of a title. Let's put this one first here, and of course normally you would take a redstone repeater and you'll put it there, and you'll put it on impulse and need the redstone. So let's put on the title one. This is a title, and as you can see it has something extra. It has actually a color called aqua. Now these brackets don't need to be here because I don't use another text block. This is actually part of the text block itself. So you see text is title, color aqua. If you would want to print that directly, you will be something like this. Text, this is the title, color aqua. So you can type that directly. And here of course we do need the other brackets, else it won't work. If you remove these brackets, there's like, what is this? Because we use a double text command. Now if we want to give this a color, we have to make sure we stay within the first bracket. So you basically say color is blue, and subtitle also gets its color gold. Now this is already a way too long command, and what I like to do myself is just take the command, Ctrl A and Ctrl C to copy it, and print it in a program called Notepad++. This way I could organize it a little bit more, and if I organize something, it's much more visible for me. And as you can see, now it would make a lot more sense if you think about it. We'll get back to that later. You can put the language on JSON bad thing is this is a Minecraft command. It doesn't recognize it. It becomes yellow and red. And this is JSON. So it's a bit different. I'll show you later how that would work. I can show you something that the manual I showed you earlier. It's kind of handy to actually put it in there. This is, for example, the code for my book. And then you kind of need a notepad because else it just gets chaotic. If you see this massive book, it just goes on forever. It wouldn't be possible to edit it like this in the console for the command block. Now if I would copy this from here and put it in here directly, you won't see all the spaces, etc. because you use the tab key. You use the tab key in Node++, so you won't have any strange spaces or something. It just deletes those, so it looks like a perfectly aligned command. Now if you would use redstone and you would set it up like this, this won't work because the redstone signal won't carry far enough to actually let the first command block emit a power signal. So we have to put a button on top of it and then it would work perfectly. However, we don't want to do that. And that's where the chain command block comes in. If you want to set it up like this, you want to hide your command blocks, which makes all the sense in the world. You take this command block and you put it directly next to it. Now, there's one thing that's really important. Once you start working like this, make sure the arrows point to the next one. So the arrows on top of it need to point to the next command block. Then we put it on chain and we put it on always active. Now, there's one difference in the chain command block as well. That's conditional or unconditional. It's now on unconditional. It will run regardless what this one does. So to get the signal, it will always run. However, if we only want it to run if this one changes, then we put it on conditional. In this case, it doesn't really matter because the subtitle will always be set, so the result will be the same. If we press it now, it just works perfectly. And this will remove the entire redstone part. Of course, if you want to set a repeater to emit after a certain time, like we've done here a lot of times, we also make sure that commands don't get executed all the time. And especially when you run a lot of commands, you often want things to run just one tick later, etc. So we always use redstone repeaters there. We also did use some with a clock. So we do have global timers as well, using the scoreboard, which can also give a delay. And we did it, for example, by giving buffs with a cooldown of 10 seconds. We'll all teach you that in later episodes, of course. So stay subscribed and make sure you don't miss out any of these things. So now we have a way to run a title and a subtitle. Now the next one is actually Actionbar. And the Actionbar shows just a bit above your health bar. So that's absolutely ideal. We usually use the Actionbar to actually show the amount of points gained. For example, let's go to green. Now, as you can see here, we have the trade hub for the green team. And this game is basically about trading, so you can get points by handing in goods which you have to gather. Now, as you can see, we need potatoes and diamonds, so let's grab those potatoes. And if I start handing them in, you see I get 1 point for green team for sending potatoes to the capital. Same with diamonds, you don't even have to. This is a way of getting points. Of course, you still need to get them. That's how the action bar works. Let's get back to the engine. Now, something to notice is the action bar doesn't only work with text, but it also works with the selector command. This way I can print the player name actually as well. And @p, of course, means the nearest player. We print the title to everyone. Now let's run it like this, and you can actually change some of the nominators here. As you can see, the selector is already at player, at nearest player, so that will show the nearest player's username. Let's use distance. It's a pretty tricky one actually. You have distance, and you would imagine that this would work. This means distance is exactly 500, so we don't want that. Now you can say this one, and that means distance is 500 or lower. So just put it at this, and then game mode is creative. And with this command, everyone who is in creative and is within a distance of 500 blocks will get the command. So let's give that a test ring. Of course, I'm in creative. I'm within 500 yards. If I would change it the other way around, the action bar will not show because I'm within 500, not further than 500. So that's how distance works. And the last one, of course, is the Tellraw command. Let's remove the execute if, because that's way too difficult right now. Tellraw, distance is 500 or less. And then you'll see this whole command. It's kind of interesting, right? Let's save it. And let's save it as it is. So let's put it on chain, always active, conditional. And let's wait for the chat to dissipate. And let's run it. Now, since I've put this one on 500 again, you'll see both these two are not running because this one is unconditional, but this one is also unconditional. And this one didn't run. No player was found. So this one can't run right now. And that's the power of conditional command blocks. If I would put both on unconditional, or even only this one unconditional, it would run regardless. Because now you'll see in chat, it says beautiful day 6, last one to spawn is a rotten egg. Because it's on unconditional. It will run regardless what this one does. Even though this one says, but I can't find any player. It will run regardless. And the reason we couldn't find the players, of course, because we put the distance on exactly 500. And we had to put it on lower than 500. If we put it on conditional now, it will just run perfectly. Now all the titles run. Now, before we go, I kind of want to show you this command. This is a massive command. So let's go back to our Notepad and let's print it. Right now it looks horrible and it doesn't even recognize, and it even looks yellow and it just hurts my eyes. If you would just press enter after, this is the Minecraft command, it won't work, it won't do anything because it isn't a JSON, it's just their coding. But if you copy the rest, and you can use, for example, a website called Unminify. If you put it right there, and you know it's a JSON because it starts with these brackets and then goes to these brackets. You press Unminify, you'll see it changes it to this. And that is already much more better to view at, of course. Much better to view at. Now, if I would print it like this, and I would remove this one and print it like this, now you can actually see what it actually says. And that's actually how we build our command blocks as well. This is still the flawed command, but this is the start of the JSON. So you see, we use a next line. That means we want to print an empty line. Then we could take a new text block, and we say day 6. We give it the color aqua. A new next line. Then we say new next line again, because we want to make sure we start on a new line. And we say last one to spawn is a rotten egg. I don't think we even have to do this. But the thing is, we do it because else it will give a little space. I can probably show you that without a problem. So basically what happens is if I print this one here and I'll press it, you'll see it just screws up the line entirely and it just ends wherever the text field size, the text field width actually will end. And we don't want that to happen. And that's why we actually put the line breaks here as well. So we make sure this way the line breaks where we want it to break. And now if we print it, it will just break the line perfectly and it will also look more natural. So that's the Tellraw command, which is also really important because this way they can actually view back what happened, and this way they can say like, oh, we have to do this one. This is the event for this day. So that works absolutely perfectly. So this is the tutorial actually for the titles, the subtitle, the action bar title, and the Tellraw, which is not really a title, of course, but in a way it works exactly the same. That's why we did it. Of course, you have some more. You have the clear, which pretty much clears whatever. It's in the thing. You won't really use it much. Reset times. You can actually put in the times, how many times you want to show it. But basically, these are all the types of titles that actually have a visual representation. So I hope you learned something from this. Please subscribe if you want more. There's going to be a lot more. And if you want to test the mini game one day, Forgotten Colonies, there's many ways to apply for it. We run several tests still. We just changed server, so we want to do some more tests. We'll just bring in like 12 or 8 people and test the game. It's pretty much fun, actually.